this event may or may not be put online, but maybe that's something I can let you guys know in the future. But I guess without further ado, I'd like to welcome Isabel to be our host for the next 2 hours.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Jeremy, for the intro and for offering to do this series. My name's Isabel, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm kind of a self-taught dancer. I started dancing at nightclubs a lot, so which is why the theme of this class is the Discoteca. And yeah, so basically the structure of the class, I'm gonna give like a short presentation on the concepts, and then we'll have a nice warm up. Then we'll do some movement research and dancing together. And then we'll have an opportunity to talk and like have a discussion if we want. And then the last few minutes, we'll do a pleasure dance and just kind of enjoy dancing together for 3 or 4 minutes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do a short little presentation. Okay, so I wanted to talk about what movement research is. Have any of y'all heard that term before? No?
Never.
No, it's like, so the term, like it came around in the 1970s in New York. And it was kind of at this point where people were starting to experiment with dance in a way that was not choreographed and was not about like the technical capabilities of the dancers. So in some ways it was kind of like a democratizing thing, because it didn't matter if you could technically do a pirouette or could technically follow these choreographies. It was more about like tuning into like a sense of well-being with each individual and their own desires. And I guess since then, it's kind of spread into a lot of different dance communities. And I think like for the purpose of this series, I want to think of movement research as kind of exactly that, right? Like we're going to be researching movement and like treating this time as a kind of laboratory in a sense. So I'll be setting up with prompts or with my voice guiding stuff, like these kind of parameters to different exercises. And then what you do within them is entirely up to you. So I could say like explore circles, and that could be a super literal thing where you're exploring circles with your hand or something, but you could also take that to a totally different level and like draw a circle on a piece of paper. I don't know, you know, it's very open. There will be these kind of parameters, but then other than that, I really want this to be a place to, yeah, like play around with ideas and play around with movement. So the theme for tonight, or the name of tonight's class, Do You Remember the Discoteca? I wanted to talk about and dance to, and like just like to think about clubbing, night clubbing. I think it's something all of us miss so much. And I guess, yeah, like taking the time to talk about some different artists working with nightlife and nightclubs, and then to also think about like what these experiences offer us, why we seek them out, how we move with our bodies when we're in these kind of nightclub spaces. And yeah, so I guess now I will show, there's a couple choreographers, a writer, and an artist that I want to show their work. This first one is a piece. It's like a couple, it's like snippets or a trailer for a piece by this French choreographer named Giséle Vienne, and it's called Crowd. And the whole thing is like kind of it's inspired by rave culture and ecstatic experiences, like experiences of ecstasy. But what's really cool is that she, rather than a bunch of people dancing to dance music, it's all like super slow motion, or it's super chopped up. And it's interesting to think about how that transforms the movement itself. Okay. Can all of you see this? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I can only see the picture of the crowd.
Yeah, same.
You what?
Can only see the slideshow.
Oh. There we go. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The video? Great.
Oh, I like that song.
It's a great soundtrack. I can send you the YouTube playlist for it. Actually, one of the first songs that we're dancing to is from this performance.
Mm.
Okay, so, and then the next piece I want to read is actually from a book. It's this book called Sphinx by another French person, Anne Garetta. And it's a really interesting novel that takes place the majority of the time in nightclubs. It's about a DJ. The protagonist is a DJ who falls in love with this character that only goes by the letter A. And it's a genderless character too. So it has there's this very kind of shadowy, vaporous quality to the love story. And in some ways it feels like almost like the protagonist is falling in love with a shadow self that only emerges at night at these in these club settings. But I'll read this out loud. Those arms, the intense sweetness, a series of scenes that still ignites a carnal flame in my memory. A was a dancer. I would spend my nights waiting for A to appear on the stage of the Eden, a cabaret on the left bank. And who wouldn't have been enamored of that svelte frame, that musculature, seemingly sculpted by Michelangelo, that satiny skin far superior to anything I had ever known. In those years, I was the resident DJ at the Apocryph, a fashionable nightclub at the time. I've been trying unsuccessfully to remember the first visions I had of A. Without a calling, I drift through the world with no control over my explosions of delirious happiness or my collapse into despair. I am easily distracted, ready for the most random deviations. So I must have first spotted A during a melancholic, disinterested contemplation of a succession of bodies I wasn't trying hard to distinguish, on the stage of a cabaret where some obliging alcoholic had decided to drag me. Coming from a club where we'd mingled our disappointments. Asking myself afterward what had made the place so appealing, I couldn't describe it. In that blur, something must have struck me. Something started operating underground, a digging, a tunneling in my mind following the blinding impact of a fragment on my retina. a body, just one, that I hadn't identified, surreptitiously had filled the place with a seduction that permeated so deeply, I couldn't discover the cause. I couldn't uncover the root of it. So that is obviously talking about the first instance of seeing this person within a nightclub, and that kind of bubbling sensation produced both by the space and by that encounter. So then the next person that I wanted to show, I actually did a workshop with this dancer in late 2019, Michele Rizzo, and he does this piece called Higher, where it starts off with one person in the gallery space, and they're doing this really repetitive dance. And then each day another dancer joins in. And so it almost has this like, it's like cell, like each person is almost like a cell in this organism that like develops over time. So by the end of it, and the video that I will show, there's, you know, maybe 30 people dancing together, this exact same repetitive dance. And y'all see you see YouTube, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Michele Rizzo. Mm.
Cool. And that's a track. Do y'all know Lorenzo Seni? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's by him. I think they worked in collaboration to make that. And then, okay, and then the last reference that I have here is, it's kind of two at the same time. It's this photography duo Cabello Carceller, and they take photos of empty nightclubs. I think this was a series of these empty lesbian bar nightclubs. And it's usually like kind of during the morning or light of day. So you get this kind of bright light streaming in, and there's all this sticky detritus and the residue of the event before. And then this is a quote by Jack Halberstam from the book, The Queer Art of Failure, which is a really, really great book. But he's talking about the photographs. And I'll read this out loud. The bar is simultaneously an interior and an exterior space. These are spaces, heterotopic spaces in Foucault's terms, like mirrors, where the surface gives way to depth, and the depth is revealed as illusory. Like the pools, these interiors offer up a confusing array of surfaces. Their planes are not laid one on top of the other, but confuse perspectival vantage points and mix up the relation between the foreground and the background. What is emphasized and what is downplayed. The smoke adds to the blurred vision and intensifies the inverted relations between internal and external, body and space, floor and wall, bench and bar. In the multiplicity of planes, the viewer understands the vantage point of the lesbian bar as scattered, constellated, and as we wander through, we are shocked suddenly to have glimpsed the outside, to have crossed a threshold. The camera takes up a new vantage point in relation to the bar, and as we come close to the sticky floors, as we contemplate the debris before us, we glance up and see the outside beckoning through the back of the bar. The door is open, it is morning, and the bar stands exposed to the light of day. What is going on here? Okay, so after looking at these artists and writers, these examples, I wanted to just kind of bring these questions before we start dancing together, just to start thinking about, to see how this influences our movement. And what is clubbing? What kind of desires does it satisfy? How do the architectures of clubs shape the movements within them? There's something that came up a couple times in the presentation, like this idea of the blur or the smoke, like this kind of inability to see as well. Like, how does that change the way you interact with these spaces? How does it shape the movements within them? What are those movements? What are we seeking when we go to these places? Like, what do you desire when you go to the club? In what ways do we lose ourselves? In what other areas of our lives do we have these sensations? Does it feel good? Does it hurt? What is the relationship between interior and exterior? What self do you slip into when you go to the club? What emotions do memories of clubbing produce within you? And how might these emotions or memories animate your body? And these are just some things to think about. And I guess I was gonna ask if everyone will take like 1 minute, and if everyone wants to come up with like either a word or a set of words or a sentence to put into the chat, just kind of like first thoughts, like when you think of clubbing, what is like a vision or a sensation that you have?
After we submit them, can we say them out loud in case the recording doesn't capture the chat room?
Yeah.
Cool.
Is there going to be like a Q&A?
I think we just have to answer now.
Are we going to stop the recording for that?
No. Just type your answer or say it, Andre.
Oh, sorry, that should be.
Yeah.
So I'll read these out loud. We have shiny disco ball, something ancient or tribal, unraveling, simultaneous anonymity / performance, and expression. Cool.
What are these things?
Plus release. What things?
That you just mentioned. What is that?
Oh, it's in the chat room.
And what does it mean?
What do each of them mean?
Yeah.
Like, what is the, what did you, I think Andre is asking what you asked us to write down.
Oh, why did I ask you?
What?
Oh, I asked you to write down just like words that you think of when you think of a nightclub or clubbing or going out.
No idea.
I agree.
No idea.
I've had that. That's, you have to write that down.
Yeah.
That's good.
Nice, Andre.
Okay, so let's warm up, everybody. So if everyone can, I guess, yeah, like move to a space in your room where you have room to move around a bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me look.
And I don't know, do y'all want to start standing? Do you have a preference, standing or seated?
I've been standing for a while.
Okay.
I just want to
Then
move around.
Okay. Okay.
Wow, this is getting serious.
Well, how about you
Oh,
can
my.
start however you want to start, okay? You can either stand, you can sit, you can lie down, and we're going to start pretty slow. Oh, one thing I do want to talk about. So throughout this class, I'm going to come back to this movement, and it's called a two-step, and you probably already know it, but it's just like bum, 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 right? So it's like very simple. If everyone wants to do it, actually, just so we know we're on the same page.
Practicing the two-step.
Two-step.
Almost there.
So this will be kind of like a heartbeat in some sense. As we go throughout the class, we'll return to this kind of very basic step. Okay, so go ahead and find a comfortable place, comfortable position. And maybe close your eyes if you want to. And just start to let your body settle. Start to notice the way whatever body parts are touching the ground, what that impact is like. Maybe it's your feet. Maybe it's your legs if you're seated. And just notice how the air is moving around you, how your clothes are hanging on your skin. Notice the music.
Can you make it a little lower?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So notice the music. And in what areas of your body is the music hitting? And And maybe start to send your breath to those areas of your body. Maybe starting to energize those parts of your body. And ever so slightly, start to stretch in very small ways. And really get in touch with the pleasure of stretching. And maybe you're rolling your shoulders or your neck. Maybe you're spreading your toes or your fingers. And just enjoying this. And maybe you're slowly starting to move your legs if you're seated. And continuing to stretch. And really with your movement, start to feel like you are floating, like there's a buoyancy to the way that you're stretching. Now, maybe slowly start to make your way to standing, but take so much time. All right. So let's make our way to standing now, continuing to warm up, continuing to really stretch, really get into this very juicy feeling of stretching and like extending your hands really far from your body. And maybe stretching into your hips and your feet. And really try to move with a very slow, floating, like honey. You're moving with this softness. And maybe start to walk around your room a little bit with this quality of movement. Slowly kind of exploring your space. Waking up your feet and your legs. And continuing as you walk to really stretch into each step you take, to really feel the ground underneath your feet. And is there a way you can feel like simultaneously very grounded and like you're floating? Like you're melting? Keeping the slow movement. Really extend yourself into your space. And doesn't it feel so good to stretch like this?
Yes.
Yeah, like energizing parts of your body that were dormant or something. And maybe start to feel the beat of this music a little bit more. And think about that. Dipping through your honey body. Maybe you start to find the beat a bit more. Maybe you even start to find that two-step.
Oh.
And really tuning into now that pulse. And see if you can keep a pulse going while also playing with this like honey quality to movement. And maybe take a step around your room. And smile. Okay, now take a moment to cool down, or maybe you feel more energized now.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I'm more energized.
That was fun.
Could you feel it, like when you're stretching, like how good it feels to really just like push these parts of your body? Yeah.
So absolutely. I love listening to some type of music when I work out that has a consistent rhythm or type of beat, something that's keeps going, you know, that makes me feel like I want to keep moving.
Some Vladimir.
Yeah, Vladimir Dubishkin is a good guy. There's a lot of electronic music, I think. But something, yeah, like, and it doesn't need to be like for repetitive motions, like working out at the gym. It could be like stretching too, like, I think it doesn't need to be so structural or rigid. Like even a song like the last one we heard that has like a very steady and tight kind of kick. It was very easy for me to feel fluid through that constant like fluid energy that was going for me. That's what I hear in these really good headphones. It's very helpful.
So the next exercise, so that exercise, you know, like we're warming up, we're getting into our own bodies. The next thing I want to do though is actually create more of an awareness of each other, because, you know, Zoom is very different than if we were dancing in person, of course. So I'm thinking like, how do you start to dance with other people when they're not physically there? So for this exercise, I want to do something called mirroring, where basically I think I'll start, but basically we will all follow each other and mirror each other's movements. And so I think I'll start off moving and everyone can follow me, but then, you know, as things naturally progress, we can splinter off and like someone else can take control. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay, and this one's going to be a bit more upbeat.
I'll have to get my computer charger real quick.
Do you guys like to stretch?
Definitely.
What about at the club or when you're listening to music? Me too. It depends.
Maybe.
Like, oh, please continue.
Oh. I feel like when I stretch at the club, it's more like what we were just doing, where it's like I'm dancing, but I'm feeling the stretch happening.
Yeah.
But not necessarily like this at the club. I don't know.
I agree. The fucking process.
Okay. And we can go, well, I'll go slow for this mirroring, and then we can just see how it goes. We can see what happens.
May I ask what is there any symbolic meaning with the mirror other than reflection, or like maybe is there something to be said about reflection with dance? Because you brought up like we're not all together, but this is a way like that we can be interactive with each other.
Right.
Maybe like I'm trying to figure out what a mirror or what mirroring or reflection had, or like what qualities of those things kind of can connect us even through Zoom.
I guess maybe it's just like intently watching each other and then moving with each other in that sense.
Yeah.
It
was interesting when I was watching everybody else dancing. I got really excited because like I haven't been out in a long time watching other people dance, and this is not to take away time from the next activity, but like I was thinking about one of the questions you asked about like why do we go to the club, or and this is making me realize one thing that I like to do at the club is watch other people dance, because that has such a strong impact on like how I feel. And I really enjoy that.
I love watching people dance at the club. I love when people have like very distinct moves.
Yeah.
You know, like, or especially if you're like going out a lot and you see the same people and it's like each person like has their every time they go out, it's the same kind of quality of movement. Okay, I'm gonna start this.
Isabel, we should be mirroring you.
Yeah.
Welcome, Gina. Please just follow Isabel. We're practicing mirroring. It's good to see you.
If I would play with you.
Ooh.
If I would play with you. Would you play with me?
Does someone else want to take over?
If I would play with you. If I would play with you. Would you play with me?
I'm following Will. I'm mirroring Will.
I would play with you, would you play with me? If I would play with you,
Nice, Gina.
would you play with me?
Hello?
That was cool.
That
The
was
mirror.
fun. Did you find it difficult or easy? Or what was your experience of that? What?
I thought it was hard because hard to see what's going on, and it made me really appreciate like being in spaces with people and you just have that automatic like mirroring thing happening, and it's like interesting to kind of translate that through the screen and realize like how much perspective like matters.
Such an interesting
Some of
point.
the screens are flipped. Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
What were you saying about the screens?
Oh, I was wondering, like some of them are flipped, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the screens are flipped.
Mm.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the thing about a mirror. It's like it's flip. The reflection. I was gonna say, Remy, like, it's interesting you bring that up because usually a club is so dark, or party, there's flashing lights, and here it's very consistent lighting, but still there's like this boundary that separates us. But I wanted to ask, like, what did you think that what was difficult, or what felt difficult?
I feel like part of it is like a time lag thing, just like rhythmically, like this sort of like conception, like my idea of somebody else through the screen who I'm following versus like reacting directly to like the music, you know?
Yeah.
And so like it was kind of hard to get like in step with that just feel of connection, because like when we are all together, that pulse is so like palpable, and you know, you can see it in other people in a different way with that. I know, like, it's so much about time, like all of it.
Does anyone feel, what's that?
I think that was Steve. Hi, Steve.
That was me?
Oh, welcome, Steve. Thank you for joining.
What's up, guys? Sorry, I'm a little
Hello.
late. Hello.
Right on time.
Cool.
So maybe we're gonna do some more things, some more dancing. And these are gonna be, these will be like more of a more prompts, right? So like in the first exercise, we're kind of warming up. The second one, we're following each other. And these, I want you to bring like both the awareness of your own body and then the awareness of everyone else, like the screens together. So we'll start with a two-step, and I'll guide through a couple different prompts of ways to move or qualities of movement. And as you're doing it, think about like what kind of conversation you're having with these other people, that like with everyone else too. So there might be moments where I see Will doing a movement that I want to incorporate in my movement. And so like just to kind of bounce your awareness from your own space and yourself to the awareness of the group, and let that influence the way that you're dancing or moving. Sound good? Okay. So let's go ahead and kind of loud again. Find a two-step.
Two-step.
Yeah. Two-step.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like this song? So just get in your zone with this two-step. And maybe start to move around your room in that two-step.
Well, that's sick.
And just kind of walk with this pulse. Now I want you to kind of play with shaking different parts of your body, and how the shake might come into your two-step. And maybe it's just shaking your hands. Or maybe it's your shoulders. Or your head. square. And maybe see if you can incorporate into the shaking this kind of like honey movement. So you're going from being super soft to being shaken. And see how you can play with the friction between those two qualities of movement. Like how can you move across your ground very smooth and then punctuate it with a shake of some sort. Now for a moment, let's think about placing weight in different areas of our bodies and how that might weigh it down. So like as we're doing this two-step, like what happens if my arm gets super heavy? What happens if my head gets super heavy? And just try placing this weight in all different areas. Now maybe try and just slow down your movements like you're underwater. It's still playing with everything we talked about. And everything is so slow. can move even slower. Now speed it up. Now let's, if you can, think about yourself in relation to the screen. Think about yourself in relation to your computer screen. And how can you fill it? And how can you dance in it? And how does that change the way that you're moving? And maybe you are incorporating this like mirroring in. Now let's meet back in this two-step. Let's follow Will's hand. Okay, let's bring it back to.
Nice dancing with you guys. That's exciting.
I like that one.
I miss it.
Yeah.
I'm like, good morning. What now?
Good morning.
How was that for everyone?
That was
That was
fun.
That was so much fun.
That was dope.
I love moving slow to really fast music.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, like when I think we started off that one, like moving kind of slower, and it's always nice because it's almost like it changes the way you are listening to it. Like it's very easy to do this groove, but then when you are going slower, you have to really, I don't know, it like changes the way it's moving through your body or something.
I really appreciated the sort of general direction, because I love dancing, but I hate taking dance classes because they always tell you to do just like very specific things. And then it doesn't feel like feels like robotic. So the more like general direction was good because I could still find my own movement, like in that.
That's great. Yeah, I feel that too. Like when you take a choreographed class and like if you don't get the movements, the class just feels so sad.
Yeah.
Because you never get in the groove. And so it's like you never reach that point where you're really flowing with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
I enjoyed the time when we had to utilize the relationship between us and the screen. Try to work with that. That was fun. I never really interacted with my screen like another person or something. Like, so I started dancing with it a little bit. It was fun. Interesting.
This is a good limitation.
Yeah. I also like that we're all in just one room, sort of like Remy is traveling, but like that's a bigger room. More space is nice. In New York, it's hard to come by.
Yeah, I was curious what Remy when you put in the chat when we were talking about like words or things we associate with clubbing. This like to be simultaneously anonymous and your performance. And I'm kind of curious. I'm curious to talk about that a little bit. Like when you are in these dark and smoky places, like do you feel like you're more able to let go of any kind of nervousness or something? Or
maybe nervousness, but it's more for me like a feeling of slipping in and out of like sharing identity, like being unified with the group, like by rhythm. So I feel kind of like in and out of like performance as an individual into like melding into like universal, and then with like the fact that you can be seen in some ways and not others, it's like shrouded. It gives you more room to like project an image or a fantasy, like even if it's just in your mind, kind of living it out and feeling it in your body. And like we definitely, I think, see each other in different lights in those spaces. Like it's a lot easier in a way to like create stories around a person you don't know or something, or be like excited about a person, and like there's that mystery there that's like very, I don't know, kind of an exciting part of being in those spaces. But it definitely feels connected to like coming in and out of like shared body to like your individual body, and then being able to like project or just like experience different like ideas of like yourself at the same time.
That's nicely put.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about that too, like, yeah, like there is this bounce between like what would you say, like the micro and macro, right? Like you're so present in your own body moving that your like edges dissolve and you are part of this collective body or something, but then you're like moving back and forth between the two. Yeah, I like that.
What do you think the source of that is? Like, what do you think it is about a club that or a space where you go dancing that separates the two or transitions you from one to the other or back? Because for me, it's like that's what music does for me. When I hear music, like this thing kind of gets me in and out of myself for sure, depending on like how it's sounding to me or whatever. And I think the space, like a club, like it's a place where people kind of agree on things or not, and you can feel it collectively. And even here too, it's so interesting, like feeling you guys move, like, you know, like moving to what we're listening to. It doesn't feel far off from like a club. And I think for me, what I started to realize was that like it's my own thoughts that are separating me from like this us experience. But music just takes me right out. If I hear a good song, like I'm not gonna be self-aware anymore.
Yeah, I feel like the interplay between the two experiences, like the contrast between the experience of like dissolving and like expressing, like presenting yourself is really cool. Like it gets more taught or something, like more extreme than just in like daily life. So you can feel both and you're really being like pulled rhythmically between the two. It's like very spiritual.
Word.
Definitely the music, like definitely agree with what you said about music being a huge part of it.
It is. It's fucking crazy. Excuse me.
I think of I also think of it as like, I don't know, like during the day or during like your normal life hours, there's so much time. Like this is stuff that actually I've been thinking about a lot, but like this idea of becoming or like aspiring to be a person and aspiring to be like a very individual, distinct person, like your brand, your identity, your look. And then when we go into these spaces, it's like this kind of unraveling of that but like you're saying too, like when you go to clubs, like that is almost like a place where you are extremely performative, where you're extremely performing this ideal sense of who you might be. But you're also totally losing that sense, either like through music and dance, like drugs, drinking, all this stuff. Like you're kind of unfurling and like allowing failure to enter that space of like super constructed identity.
Yeah, I feel like the ceremony of it is what makes it like really potent. It's like you're gonna get ready to go out. Like, you know, you're gonna think about what you do before and like, and then you're going there to like kind of demolish your sense of self at the same time. It's kind of the ultimate.
Maybe we just do like one more dance.
Can I set an intention for this dance?
Yeah, set it.
Because we were just talking about intentions, like going out.
Go.
Maybe we can destroy some part of us right now.
Destroy? Okay, I love that.
Little piece. Not
I like demolish.
Demolish, yeah.
Okay.
Demolish.
I got a call. That was
You're
good.
the man.
That song is so good.
Let's do it.
Demolish.
This is acid, man. This is acid, man. This is acid, man.
A good one too. Let's keep going. Well, how about we do the inverse of destroy something? And
Okay.
have to bloom something.
We create something?
Create something.
Time to create, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
Maybe you can like making it. Oops. Okay. Cool.
That was good, that song.
Are we gonna have access to this playlist afterwards?
Yeah, I can send.
Please.
Yeah, cool. Does anyone have anything that they want to share?
One thing I would like to share was the time when you told us to focus on a part of our body that was heavy. I started to focus on making my breathing heavy. First, I did like specific body parts, and I imagined how they would feel if I was dancing and they kept like dragging me down. And then I started to just breathe as heavy as I could. And it was just enough time before you ended it so that I could start to really feel the effects of that deep feeling. And that was really helpful to kind of get out of my thoughts. Like I got really into whatever was playing at that moment. And my body was moving without any conscious thought, for sure. Oh, sorry, Isabel, you can't hear you.
Are there technical difficulties?
You're muted. I can see.
We cannot hear you, Isabel. Oh, we gotta fix that. Huh. Maybe re-enter the Zoom.
About now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Again? Okay.
What'd you do?
Nice.
Okay. Thank you all for dancing today.
Thank you, Isabel.
That was lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Isabel. It went by so fast for me.
Yeah.
I like
down-
watching everyone's styles of dancing.
What?
I like seeing everyone's different styles.
Yeah. Was it, did you find that, how did time feel passing? Like, were you able, oh, maybe I just need to get closer.
Oh, no. I wasn't. I was thinking about time. I wasn't saying like I can't hear you. Time is gone.
Yeah, I was very,
Sorry, go on.
I was very focused. I didn't think about time at all.
Well, that's good to know because sometimes I think, like teaching, because I'm also very new to teaching. Sometimes like the way that I'm experiencing time feels like everything is taking longer because I know everything that I want to do. But sometimes it is nicer to take a longer amount of time and get really lost in something.
Yeah. The time is good.
Okay.
It's always good to give people space with prompts. I feel like with teaching, sometimes you just like feel like you have to keep like talking, but you did a really good job of balancing it.
Okay. And the time was, you were just getting lost in it. Fantastic.
Dean. I realized, all kind of related to time, I realized that I like don't have very much stamina right now. And also it feels really good to like sweat, which I don't do enough. But yeah, I was like, oh wow. Like I feel like how do I normally go out for like hours and hours before all this?
Dance is like a secret weapon. It's like a secret weapon. Anytime you want time to go by faster, just start dancing. Taking too long, movies taking too long, just start dancing, you know.
That's awesome advice.
Traffic court, just start dancing.
What's the longest time that you have danced? Nonstop.
A couple of years, I think.
A couple years?
I think since I started going out and I had that experience where I was like, wow, this is so much better than everything outside. I was like, wait, I could just start doing this all the time, just listen to music more. But I think like going out to a club, I don't know, it's hard to say. At least a few hours.
Yeah.
I can
It's
go
pretty
all
euphoric.
day. Yeah. I don't want to stop.
Yeah.
I think I've been out dancing with Tony and Will in other countries besides New York, separately. And we've gotten to experience a lot of time out together and seeing the different types of environments. And I'm sure you have too, Isabel, right? You've been to Europe, you've gone out in other parts of the world, and I wonder if anybody else has.
Hi.
I missed the question.
Oh, well, I was just wondering if anybody else has gotten opportunities to like go dancing in other parts of the world. Andre, you said you were you hinting that you did? You have?
I thought you asked about traveling.
Well, what did you think I asked? That you said yes to.
Oh, like did anyone like travel to some parts of the world that are unusual? That's what I thought. Like not danced in, like travel.
Have you traveled to interesting parts of the world?
Yeah, Hawaii. The climate there is like perfect. It's like a dream come true. There's no cold, there's no hot. It's like always the same thing. And it's like, wow, you can rely on it.
Oh, perfect.
Well, also Pearl Harbor is there. I didn't know.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You don't want to dance at Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, well, yeah. But there's a city there, on one of the islands. Anyway. A worthy try, definitely. Was.
That sounded so amazing.
Well, thank you all again for dancing.
Thank you. Hey, Isabel, I see, so guys, it's 10 o'clock and I don't, was there anything else that you wanted to include in tonight's movement research?
No, that was everything.
Okay, cool. If anybody else is down, I'm down to keep dancing. I may just, I could end the recording and we have time. I mean, I have some time and I'm down to dance with you guys. But if anybody has to go, feel free to go. But I'm kind of down. How do you guys
Nice.
feel?
I'll keep you in the chat. I'll dance and do some other stuff around here.
Do you have any music that you can play for us? Like consistently, maybe for like a half an hour?
What kind?
Totally
what
up to you. You're playing great music all night.
Oh, should we listen to? Okay, yeah, let's listen to. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Can we get?
I'm gonna step out for a sec, but I'm gonna play the music, and everyone, feel free to stay if you want.
Can we get the track details and all the choreographers and stuff and everything? It was all really good.
That was really great.
Yeah.
I'm
What
putting.
was that? You had that photo. It was like a photo series on clubs.
Yeah.
That was really interesting. I wanna research that.
The empty clubs.
Yeah, it sounds really familiar.
Oh, also Isabel, after this meeting, you can send me the PowerPoint presentation, and on the website, on Met4's website, which I'll put in the group chat, you can find all information from previous events. So this one will get updated within a few days, and like this recording will be there, the PowerPoint presentation will be there, the track list will be there, and anything else you guys would like me to put up there.
Yes.
Just to let you know for the future, and before I just end the recording, I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to express yourself creatively with us together. It's so nice that we can do something like this in a crazy time. And I hope I get the opportunity to see you guys again and keep dancing together because it's so fun.